is pragmatics. Pragmatics is our use of language as a tool. It's how we use it to accomplish certain tasks. And the unit at this level is the utterance. And the rules for how we use utterances to accomplish certain tasks are referred to as maxims. And we all follow these maxims. When people violate these maxims, we know that they're using language in a way that they're not supposed to, and that it causes problems with communication. So then the message that we want to send doesn't get sent, or the message they want to send doesn't get received. So, for example, here are 4 maxims that we all follow when we're using language to communicate. First is the maxim of quantity. It says that you want to make your contribution as informative as required, but not more informative. So when people overshare or when they give you too much detail about something, they're violating the maxim of quantity. So you don't, when you ask somebody for information, you need them to give you the details that you need, not a bunch of junk, right? And you also need them to stay focused and not ramble and go all over the place. That's quantity. Quality says that you should give information, share information that's truthful. So when you lie, you violate the maxim of quality. We don't like that either. So you should at least, when you tell somebody something, you should tell them what you believe to be true. Relation is, the maximum of relation says that you want to make your contribution relevant. So when people, someone's talking and then all of a sudden somebody else jumps in with something that seems completely irrelevant, or it doesn't seem to be connected to what people are talking about at all. Maybe they're trying to change the subject. What they're doing is violating the maximum of relation. People don't like it when you do that either. They want you to stay on topic, focus on what we're talking about. Because if you're changing the topic, chances are you're not really paying attention to what's going on. And then the maxim of manner says, be clear. Don't say, don't be vague, don't be ambiguous. Make sure that you are truly providing the person with the information that they need, and don't be disorganized in the presentation of your thoughts. So we follow these kinds of rules when we use language, and when people violate them, we're very aware of it. Although no one ever specifically told us that these were rules, pretty consistently everybody follows these rules when they use language to communicate. Now, all of the things that we've talked about up to this point, all of the different kinds of rules, the phonetic rules, phonological rules, morphological rules, syntactic rules, semantic rules, pragmatic rules, all of these rules together make up the grammar of our language. Sometimes when people say grammar, we think of just the syntax part, just the structure of sentences, and whether a sentence is grammatically correct. Is it an incomplete sentence or a run-on sentence or something like that? And that's not how linguists use the term grammar. The grammar is all the rules that someone has to know in order to speak a particular language at all those different levels of representation. And we talk about 2 kinds of grammar. We talk about descriptive grammar. And descriptive grammar is the grammar that real speakers really use. Okay, so if I want to talk about the grammar of American English, I'm going to do it descriptively as a linguist, meaning that I want to know, I have to try and figure out what rules native speakers of American English use to produce their language. And any rule that any native speaker of American English uses and another native speaker of American English accepts as grammatical is grammatical. Okay, so descriptive grammar doesn't say that's an okay way to say that, and that's not an okay way to say that. As long as 2 speakers agree that the rule is okay, then it's okay. And it's not a judgment like whether something's good or bad. It just is. It's just descriptive grammar. And the goal, the linguist's goal, is to try and figure out what all the rules are that any English speaker uses to speak that language. And so far, we have no comprehensive list of rules for any language ever. We don't know. And part of that is because the set of rules is a moving target, and different people can achieve the same output using different rules. So it's hard to figure out sometimes exactly what all the official rules for a language are. Now this is contrasted with what we call prescriptive grammar. And this is what you learn in English class. Prescriptive grammar is the grammar of how you should speak. And there is a supposedly a right way and a wrong way to say something. And people might accuse you of speaking broken English or speaking slang or not speaking correctly. When they say that, they're applying a prescriptive grammar. And the prescriptive grammar is typically the grammar of whomever is in power. So it's the descriptive grammar of whoever's in power. Who controls the media? Who controls the books? Who controls education? Who controls the way the language is presented? That's their descriptive grammar becomes the prescriptive grammar. So you get to dictate what's the right way and the wrong way to talk when you have power. And it's also a way for people who don't have that power to distance themselves. They can intentionally choose not to follow the prescriptive grammar as a way to separate themselves from people who they feel are oppressing them. Like that. So we want to contrast descriptive grammar and prescriptive grammar. What we're going to talk about in here is descriptive grammar. So we're going to talk about what real people really do. And the nice part about that is that, for example, when I ask you to transcribe words that you said, if you transcribe what you really say, it's right. It doesn't have to be the way I say it. It doesn't have to be the way the person right next to you says it. If you transcribe what you really say, then it's right, because it's a descriptive act. It's not a prescriptive act. There's not, as long as you're a native speaker, or even if you're not a native speaker, the way you say it is the way you say it, and it's okay. That means on a test, for example, if I have you write something out, and it's different than how I might say it, if I try to read it the way you wrote it, and I mark it wrong, and I think, no, that's not how you say that. If you bring it back to me and say, okay, listen to me say this, I think this is really how I say it, and I listen, and in fact you did write down exactly what you say and how you say it, then you get the points back, because I'm not going to prescriptively force you to talk like me. So as long as you're truly transcribing how you talk, we're in good shape. Is everybody here? Everybody has the handouts from up here. Anybody have any questions about this? Or about the difference between descriptive grammar and prescriptive grammar? No?